Hello, welcome to today's Career Insight Lunch and Learn. How are you doing? Hope you've been having a great week. I can see some people coming in on the Zoom call, so I'm just going to let them in. When you join, please say hello. Let me know who you are, where you're watching from. Is this your first time? Are you a frequent flyer? Let me know in the chat. It's always good to know who's here. If we haven't met before, my name is Julie Cullen and I specialise in helping women build their confidence in the workplace. And over the last couple of weeks, we have spoken about some of the behaviours that could be sabotaging your career. So we talked about behaviour 1, which was working really, really hard, waiting to be noticed and rewarded. When that's not really a good strategy, you need to be able to speak up and let people know what you want and how they can help you. Behaviour number 2 was all about putting your job before your career, which a lot of people do. But it's important to carve out some time to think about what you want for your future and to start working on achieving that goal, not just being head down in the job. And then the third behaviour was not talking confidently about yourself and your achievements, which is really important to ensure that the right people know what you're capable of. So if you missed the previous episodes and want to catch up, you can do so via the replay link, which I'm going to drop into the chat bar. So there we go, there it is in the chat bar. If you want to say hello, please do. So today I want to focus on what you should be doing to set yourself up for success. So I want you to imagine you've just started a brand new job. Now that could be a change in the job in your existing company or a move to another company. Maybe it's your very first job. It doesn't really matter, but if you've been through that experience before, think about how you behaved. Because when you start, you may feel a little bit out of your depth. You don't really know anyone too well. There's new skills to learn. You need access to new resources. You feel like you've got a multitude of questions to ask every single time you're assigned a new task. And everyone is so busy, right? You really don't want to be a constant nuisance. Tell me if that sounds familiar to anyone here today. Have you been through that? That feeling of, I don't want to bother anybody, but I'm not really sure what I'm doing. And so what do you do? Well, what many people often do is just try and muddle through. Trying to learn as much as you can from what material you do have access to and working really, really hard on getting up to speed as quickly as possible so that you can prove your worth to the boss and prove that they made the right choice in hiring you. So that's always the fear, is that asking too many questions, being a nuisance, maybe puts people doubt in people's mind about whether you're the right person for the job. But you are. They hired you and they don't expect you to know everything right off the bat. So many of us fall for that, and I'm a guilty party, I'll have to admit. So you're head down trying to do the job, and in terms of building connections and relationships, don't have time for that, don't have the knowledge for that. I'll just wait until I've got a better handle on what I'm doing before I start to develop my network. It's the way a lot of people think, and I'm here to tell you today that is a big mistake. Your connections and your relationships are the cornerstone of your success. So today is all about how to succeed, how to set yourself up for success. There's two things: confidence and relationships. Those are the two things that will really set you up for success. If you're struggling with either of them, come talk to me, I can help you, right? But those are the two cornerstones of success: confidence and relationships. Now, a few weeks ago, we actually did discuss some of the relationships, the 5 key relationships that you need in your strategic network to succeed. And that's available through the same link that I just shared with you. But a lot of that focus on that conversation was about your long-term career, your planning, your future. Today, we're going to focus on immediately, what do you need right here, right now? Whenever you start a new job, the first question you often ask yourself is, what do I need to know to succeed? And then you set about trying to gain all that knowledge. A better question to ask yourself is, and the one that most successful people ask themselves is, who can help me succeed? Who can help me succeed right now, right at this very moment in time in the job that I'm doing? So if you're trying to muddle through it on your own, please stop, right? Lift your head up and look for the support around you. The people who have already been where you are and can help you get up to speed quickly and a lot more effectively than by doing it all yourself. You know, I made that mistake so many times in my own career. And I moved into a role where I felt a little bit out of place. And instead of reaching out for help, I would go head down into the books, into the training, into the resources, trying to work it all out for myself. And all I did was make it so much harder than it needed to be. The times when I had greater success was when someone who had been there before worked with me as my guide, as my mentor, and that was so much easier. The ability to learn from them, soak up all that knowledge that they've already gained. And success for me came a lot more quickly and easily in those roles. The times when I struggled with my career was the times when I had nobody around helping out because I hadn't approached them or I hadn't reached out to the right people. Instead, I thought, they think I should know this stuff, so I need to prove that I know this stuff. As I said before, it's a big mistake. I remember actually there was a girl I worked with she was starting a new role on our team, on our account, and the girl that she was replacing, the woman that she was replacing, was leaving in 2 weeks' time, and she wasn't just going to another job; she was leaving the company. She was taking a redundancy. She was off the park. So this woman had 2 weeks to learn what she needed to learn for that job. And this was a numbers job. She was dealing with millions of dollars in revenue, going through spreadsheets and going through different processes. It was a really important job in terms of understanding the processes that she needed to do to ensure that we didn't lose revenue, that we didn't drop revenue. And so she did 2 weeks, head down, the two of them stuck in a corner, working away, transfer of knowledge. It was all going on. And then the predecessor left and she was on her own. And that was a huge, huge problem for her because it was a big struggle trying to remember and take all this knowledge and apply what you've learned. And I've worked with her before. And I knew how competent she was. I knew what great skills she had. I thought she would breeze, no problem. But she started to struggle, really struggle. And it was starting to affect the way she felt, the way she felt about herself, her mental health. She was getting really stressed. She was getting really down. She was beating herself up. It was awful. And the worst thing was there was nobody around her who did that job. She was the only person in our account team that did that job. So in terms of the local resources round about her, we couldn't help. We could maybe try, but our help was limited. And this went on for a long time, several months actually, and she was actually thinking about leaving the job. She'd only been in the job for 3 months. It was the first time she'd ever come across that situation where she didn't know what she was doing, she didn't know how to get help, and she felt stuck, and she felt like she couldn't move forward, and she felt like giving up. But then she did what we all need to learn to do. She put her hand up and said, I need help. I'm struggling. I can't do this. I need help. I'm thinking of quitting. Now, the last thing her boss wanted was for her to quit. It took them a long time to find somebody to put in that place. She was the right person for the job, but she was just struggling to take all that knowledge that had been passed. She did like a folder full of notes and documents and trying to then apply that in the workplace. And so her boss recognised this. Her boss got her into contact with people that were on different accounts but did a similar role and helped her through that transition. And oh my word, once she got through that initial phase, she was one of the top performers in the team. She was right up there. And so even though she had learned from other people in the team, she went on to become one of the top performers. She went on to take a pivotal role in the whole organisation in that particular skill set. So she flew once she got past that hump. But she only got past that hump because she put her hand up and said, I need help, who can help me? And that's what successful people understand. They understand the power of connections. They understand the willingness to be able to say, I need help here. They see connections as the most important part of their job, and they start building them from day one. Okay, and what that means for them, compared to the rest of us that aren't doing it, is it means that they receive more support, they feel less isolated. That was what was happening to her. She got very, very isolated. And I recognised that later in my own career when I made the same mistake. You watch somebody else doing it, you think you learn from it. Just as easy to make that same mistake yourself. And so all of a sudden you put your head down, you stop talking to people, and you start to feel isolated. You start to feel alone. And it's a horrible place to be in, it really is. But when you put your head up and say, I need help, you'll get the support, you'll get greater visibility in the company, and you get access to a lot more opportunities, which is what happened to her. She did say she flew. She's doing amazing in her career. She's still in a similar role, but she leads within the organisation. And the thing is, if you're willing to reach out and get help, as most successful people do, what you find is that you do a lot less hard graft than other people. So instead of trying to dig deep into learning the knowledge, you're just picking the knowledge out of somebody else's brain. What do I need to know? Tell me. What don't I need to know? Because when you're learning, you don't know what you need to know and what you don't need to know. That's a proverbial question, isn't it? But if you've got somebody helping, then you always know the right thing because they're going to help you. And the thing is, I've mentioned it before, I'm sure I mentioned it in the last video, this is where a lot of people struggle because they've got this notion that if they work really, really hard, that equals success. But it doesn't. The power of your connections equals success. It's not what you know, but who you know that makes the difference. And if you have a negative mindset around that, you need to ditch that. Seriously, you need to start understanding the value of your connections. And I'll give you something to think about. Imagine you're sitting in the interviewer's seat. So you're interviewing for someone to join your team. You interview about half a dozen people for the position. You don't know any of them, and their resumes are outstanding. Each of them has the right skill set. Each of them has the right work ethic. You're really struggling to know how you're going to choose between them. Then somebody else in your team tells you that they used to work with one of those individuals, with one of those candidates. And they tell you that this person was an amazing worker, they were a top performer, team player, someone they would happily work with again. What do you think is going to happen? The job's going to go to the person that you trust. You trust the judgment of your team member rather than just some paper resume and a half-hour, 1 hour conversation over an interview. The successful candidate is the one who's known by people of influence. People who can advocate for them and put in a good word. And that's definitely something we spoke about on the last video. Because if nobody really knows you, then you make it really difficult for them to recommend you when new opportunities present themselves. So to bring that back to when you're starting a new job, you'll get up to speed and you'll make an impression, start making an impression a lot more quickly if you build connections and alliances with the people around you. And when we spoke about this, about the 5 key relationships, one of them was partnerships. And we maybe spoke about it in terms of bigger, wider partnerships, but think about within your own team, within your department, who could you partner with that's going to help you to become more skilled at what you do. So no matter where you are in your career, whether you're just sitting out as a new graduate, or if you're in the middle of your career, or you're heading for the peak, you're already on that treadmill, connections and relationships are the key to your success. If you want to prime yourself for success, then you need to learn to have the confidence and the ability to go out there and build relationships, build connections, ask for help, ask for support. Okay? If you've got any questions, drop them in the chat bar at the moment. We've kind of raced through that quite quickly. So I'd like to hear from you about what challenges do you have with that? Are you the kind of person that goes head down into the knowledge learning, or do you create the connections? What has worked for you and what hasn't worked for you? Let me know in the chat. If you have any questions, let me know in the chat. So one of the things I always recommend to everyone I work with, everyone I coach, is the importance of setting some time aside every week. And there's a couple of things that I recommend you do when you set that time aside. And that is setting the time aside to think about what you want from your career, what you want from the current role, what you want from your future roles. What help do you need to achieve that? Who are the people you need to help you? And how can you then go and get that help? And it's worth just taking 10-15 minute pause out of your week. Go get yourself a coffee, find a quiet space, and just start to think about who are the people that are going to help you succeed. Whose brains do you want to pick? Who would you like to just kind of have a mind? Do you ever watch Star Trek, Mind Melt? Who would you like to have a mind melt with and pull all that great information and knowledge out of their heads into yours? And then just go start building those relationships. They're the people that will help you succeed in your career. Okay? As I mentioned before, if a lack of confidence stops you from reaching out to those people, please get in touch, right? For those of you that aren't regular followers of mine, that aren't on my newsletter, just to let you know, I do run a group coaching that is all about developing confidence. It's a women-only program. It's specifically designed for women to get together. So we do it in small groups of around 6 people, 6 individuals, where I coach and help you to develop the confidence. So you set a goal for the start of the 12 weeks, and over the 12 weeks you meet with me every week. We go through some exercises, you get access to some training, and you achieve the goal that you set yourself at the start of the 12 weeks. Most people overachieve, which is lovely, but at the very minimum you will achieve. You'll set out a goal that you can achieve over the 12 weeks, and I promise you we will help you get there. Okay, so if you're interested in that, you can learn more on my website, juliecullen.co.uk. Pop over there. If you've got any questions, you know how to get in touch. Message me on LinkedIn, email me, admin@juliecullen.co.uk. Come to one of these sessions, ask the question, drop it in the chat bar. Okay, so I see a comment here. I'm involved in different employee networks, and some I also volunteer as an active member to get to know people outside of my regular work social circle, to get information, but also introductions. Yes, Diana, that is a great piece of advice for anybody that's listening. Is that, especially if you work in large corporations, there's always different groups, different communities, diversity programs, initiatives. There's lots of opportunity to get out there and connect with people who maybe aren't in your immediate circle, that you don't get the chance to catch up with on a regular basis. So once you get to know these people, I remember when I used to work in a location, and all the roles that I'd had were just in that location. The only place I ever looked for opportunity was in that location. I hadn't really thought beyond that location. I had no idea what was beyond that location in terms of opportunity, until we had a really great mentor that joined us, and he encouraged myself and many others to look beyond the 4 walls of that location. And it opened up so many new opportunities to me, but a lot of people I didn't really know. And so one of the things that I did was I went and joined a community that was full of lots of technical people who eventually became the people I relied on to help me do a great job. But yeah, so we used to meet on a regular basis and do little projects that were not part of the day job, but gave me great connections who really did help me succeed when I moved into a new role where I needed their help and support. Okay, so great tip there, Diana, thanks for that. And also, if you're not in a large corporation, then start looking externally. Where do people from your industry meet up? What networking events take place? How do you get connected with them? There is opportunity, it's out there, you just have to be willing to go and find it, and then find the courage to go out there and join up. And it's a really great informal way to get access to the kind of people that sometimes maybe you might feel uncomfortable accessing. Because if you're accessing someone as the senior executive or the senior vice president of your organisation, that kind of can feel a bit intimidating. If you're meeting Joe, and you're both working together on a project related to some diversity initiative, you're not thinking of them as a VP, you're just thinking of them as Joe, and you're both working towards the same goal. So it gives a more relaxed opportunity to build relationships as well. Great tip, thank you for that. Okay, so we're at the 20-minute mark, so I'm going to just start to wrap up. If you have any questions, now's your chance to get them in there. Drop them in the chat bar. If not, if you're watching this on replay, I do keep an eye on comments in the replay videos as well. So if you want to ask any questions, please do, and I will hopefully get back to you sometime soon. Okay, so in summary, connections are the key to your success. Connections and confidence are the key to your success. And so you do need to focus time on developing and nurturing, especially those relationships. So questions to ask yourself. Who is the person who can help you succeed in your current role right now, today? Who can help you succeed, and are you connected with them and working with them and building relationships with them? Who can you help in your current role? So remember, relationships are two-way. So are there people that you could help that then may lead on to helping you succeed in your career at some point in the future? You never know. But it's a great way to develop relationships, is offering to help other people. And doing it through other initiatives as a volunteer is a great way as well. Another question, who can help you when you're ready to move on to your next role? So while you're working on this role, you're thinking strategically about what might be the next role that I need to take in my career journey. Okay, who are the people that would help me get there, and do I need to pick up some new relationships for that? And then, who are the people that are making the decisions about your future? Who are the people that decide whether you get the career opportunities, whether you get the promotions, whether you get the bonuses and the pay rewards? You know, as you go further up the career ladder, especially in large corporations, the people who are making those decisions can be more detached from you than when you are working at the start of your career. So it's good to have an awareness of who those people are and what they know about you, and ensuring that they know what you're capable of. Okay, so I hope you found today's session helpful. I'm getting a little bit better at sticking to time, which is fantastic. There has been a change in the schedule for this month, so if anybody hasn't already noticed that, next week's Career Insight Lunch and Learn is now all about your performance review. So if anybody's got a performance review coming up towards the end of the year, or maybe you do it at the start of the next year, next week we're talking about how to impress your boss at your performance review. So if you're in that space, come check us out. But for now, that's all for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the feedback. You're looking forward to that one, are you? It's a good one. It's a good one. So I'll give you some great tips on how you can better prepare for your performance review, in your performance review, and also at your performance review. So enjoy the rest of your Friday, enjoy your weekend, and talk to you again next week. Bye for now.